Hi there, and welcome to Reflections with Rhonda Jones and my co-host, Monica Livingston. Today we have two of our finest minds at the New Covenant Group, Ruthie Wyburn, Kimberly Johnson. Ladies, say hi.
Hi.
And I'm not just joking when I say that. These ladies have fantastic ideas. They have great counterpoints to our points, and we would be remiss without acknowledging that.
Yeah, and I would say an open mind is a good mind, a fine mind, because you're willing to learn new things and to grow and admit where you're wrong. And I think that's one thing that we can brag a little bit about, is that we are learning to keep our mind open and learn and keep moving.
Right. I think Dr. Jones says that we do not want to practice flat earth theology or flat earth science, because you can't go very far if you think the world is flat. And can you imagine if those that thought the world was flat maintain that? And it took a person with guts to get out there and say, when I see the end of the boat, or whatever you call the bottom half, whatever, I don't know, I just got off a boat, but I don't pay attention to that. But I still, I see it curve down. I mean, they just used their head, and they didn't become stuck in flat earth science. And so I'm thankful. And that's what we're all about. We're trying to think outside of the box. We're trying to actually give everyone a voice. And that little segue, I'm gonna say this. Tonight we're gonna have a gentleman on, and I think a woman, I don't know, friend, it's a woman. I think she'll be on stage too, I believe. And he is wanting to go into the ministry and become a Pentecostal holiness preacher. And my husband met him at a garage sale the other day. And just like every garage sale we ever go to, he strikes up conversations with people about, religion, theology, worldviews, things like that. And this was no different. And they came to know each other, and he said, "You'd be good for our show. We have a cancellation, Memorial Day weekend. Please come on our show," because, we have yet to have I can't really say that's true, but a theist going into the ministry that will sit here and defend infanticide, hell, probably a list of other things. But you know what? We're going to love him through it. We're going to listen to him, and we are going to get along. That's what we're all about. Right, ladies?
Right.
Right. Okay. Now, I was gone last week, and I heard y'all did a great job. Y'all talked about...
Who told you that?
Oh,
just kidding.
A lot of people did.
I think we did all right.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. But I had a great time. My sister treated me to, she does it every couple of years, to a Bahamian cruise.
I know, we were all so jealous. That's probably what we talked about most of the time.
Mostly, yes.
I think that's what
Well, this time we had two little ones on the cruise, my niece and nephew.
saw those pictures. I was like, yeah, the baby's great.
Yeah, well, I can't see them anymore because she blocked me because of my views, but I can't even see the pictures of my own
I'll
cruise.
show you later.
Lucky.
She didn't block me. I guess she doesn't read my post.
Probably not.
They don't show in her feed or something. I don't know.
Anywho, I lived it, so I don't really have to see them. But they did pretty good considering. So, and it was a joy to have her and the children with us. But the truth be the truth, sometimes you get blocked for your worldviews. Has anyone been blocked? I know you have. You've been in uproar over your
I'm
views.
just waiting for the family reunion this year. It should be interesting, since half
yeah.
of them have blocked me.
Yeah, and didn't they say that they were going to actually go
They
to
said that everything
fisticuffs?
would be fine. Well, first they said they were going to,
Yeah.
they were threatening my husband because he, stood up and, made a comment. And my cousin didn't like that my husband spoke to his wife like that when he really wasn't rude to her. But anyways, back to it.
Can't we all just
that
get along?
issue calmed down, and they said, of course, we'll treat you like normal. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
So
Kimberly, have you ever been blocked?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm striving. No.
Okay. Well, you know what?
she wants to join the club.
Yeah, I feel left out. No, nobody's blocked me.
I'll go home and block you, and then
Maybe I
I'll
have.
unblock you.
Okay, thank you. No, maybe I don't know. Maybe I have more liberal
Well, I'm
family
saying
members or something.
you must be doing something. Yeah, you either one or two things, and I have to break it down for you. No, I don't have to break it down for you, but I have to tell everybody. Either she's not putting it out there like she should, or she has more liberal followers, and I think that might be the latter.
I don't. Maybe some of both. If my dad were on Facebook, he would have blocked me by now.
So would my dad. So would my dad. I don't get any like my mom. She'll type into my sister, "Oh, I love you, my beautiful darling daughter," blah blah blah, and I keep looking every day for my message. Hasn't come yet, but yeah, you know what? It's all in days' work. Okay. Anywho, I'm proud of it. I'm proud to be blocked. Proud to be, whatever. Because
Sounds like a badge of honor.
it's a
now,
badge of
I think.
honor now because you are
Which is sad.
standing up for something. And you know what?
Well,
I
the thing
told
is
somebody
none of us have blocked them because we
Thank
disagree with what they believe.
that was my point.
Our views have changed, and we've said, they're still entitled to their views. They're still entitled to believe how they want to believe. We've chose to step away from some of the things we believed, a lot of the things we believed, but we don't go blocking all of them because we always see, their post about how God had to die for your
Right.
sin. I could block every single one of them, and I'd have a lot less to read every day on Facebook, but I
Right.
don't. But because we have put out there what we believe, it's like it's not a two-way street,
Well, I
So-
was going to say, remember the one that blocked me and didn't come to the jewelry class?
Yeah.
And I've known her, let's see, 50 years old in July.
But she hasn't blocked me,
Yeah, they just see.
so it's, I don't know.
But I've known her 40 years or so, and blocked me, didn't even come to our jewelry class that
She was teaching.
she was teaching and making a profit off of. And then she wrote me this sorry note, and honestly, I did the and put in the garbage. That didn't mean I didn't accept her apology. I just didn't want it,
You didn't want to continue.
No, I didn't have to have it. And then I saw her, and then she hugged me. I just want you to know I love you. Like I had cancer, like she felt so sorry for me. And I said, I love you too. Never change. And I said, honestly, I probably should have been the one to block you because people that believe in human sacrifices really scare me. If you believe that a human has to be sacrificed, well, I should think about blocking you before you block me because we believe in unconditional love and God loves everybody. He's accepting. I think it's just a lot of nerve to get mad at the message that God loves everybody.
Right.
I don't get it. Ruthie, why do people get so mad when we say God loves everyone unconditionally?
Because there's somebody out there that does more terrible things than I do, and why should God love them when I'm so much better than they are? That's a mindset.
That's what they think.
Yeah. God can love some people, but he couldn't love Hitler because look at what Hitler did.
Right.
And,
That's one of
and
their favorites to go to,
yeah,
too, is
yeah.
Hitler.
And I think it frightens people or upsets people that these murderers or whatever, God can love them as much as he loves me when I'm doing so much better. I think it scares them that, they don't want to accept that this person is as good as they are or the same in God's sight.
Right. It's probably a personal
Yeah, because
ego thing.
if that's so, then I might slip and start doing more bad things because I know that God would love me anyway. And that's not the way it is. When you realize that deep inside of you that God loves you and he loves everybody, your viewpoint changes and you love God more, you
That's
love
right.
people more,
That's right.
and you start doing things out of love, you forget about wanting to hit somebody. You're going
Right.
to hug them instead.
Yes.
And
Right.
I think people are afraid of the change, making yourself so vulnerable that you can be hurt much easier. I think that's part of it right there.
Couldn't have been said any better. You have anything to add, Kimberly?
I think a lot of it is, too, that so much of their identity is wrapped up into what they've been taught in the church.
True.
And, especially someone who's very involved in their church, to be told that the foundation they rest upon is completely wrong. You're not just rocking one part of their world. You're, in their mind, probably attacking how they raise their children, how they live their life, how they treat their neighbor. And I think it can be very frightening, like Sister Ruth said.
Yeah, I think so. It makes you, excuse me, it makes you have a little more empathy for it whenever you hear Ruthie and Kimberly talk about it, And
I think
we all
I think
feel.
we do, but I think we have to remind ourselves to be
Yeah.
have an empathy to them, but not so much that we excuse the behaviors that come with, because there's a difference between being empathetic because somebody doesn't agree with our message, and because it's rocking their boat, and they're afraid of what they're going to lose and what they're going to miss out on, what they've counted on, and when they start being hateful towards you and ostracizing you, and there's a difference. There's a fine line there. So yes, we need to have empathy. We need to understand that a lot of us have been in the similar place or the same place, or even probably further than some of the people. But at the same time, it doesn't excuse away behaviors and attitudes. And
We're still responsible temporally here on earth for our behaviors, and we need to, behave to me as Jesus would. And he got firm, but he never went outside of love in anything he did. And so I hope to be that type of person. Okay. One thing I have to bring up, it's an article. It is an article about, now get this, these are 2 teachers just sort of recently that have been fired for doing certain things. Now, the first one I'm going to talk to you about, this is a teacher, I believe it's in New York, maybe in the Bronx, and she was fired for teaching her children the word Negro. Okay, and you may say, I don't know how you feel about that word, but last time I looked, that word was not the N word.
right.
But another little twist to this is this teacher is a Spanish teacher, and she was teaching the word black, negro, for black in a Spanish class. And a child told somebody that she said the N word. Okay. Now this teacher, this is another twist. This teacher is from the West Indies, and she is black. She is negro. What is happening to our country? What is happening to the political correctness? I mean, things are going south.
Yeah, I think it's going overboard. I mean,
Yeah.
when you, it's like you can't say anything anymore, or you have to step on such eggshells and afraid to speak because you may say, something that's going to offend this group and going to offend that group or going to offend somebody, and here she is a woman of color herself, and let me not, call her black. I might get in trouble. Who knows? But
She's
here
not
she is.
white.
Yeah,
I
she's a
mean,
woman of color, and
she's black.
she's teaching a language. I don't know if you guys saw my face when she said she's teaching the word black as negro, and really, it's just
It's flabbergasting.
that just. I could see if she was teaching something and she was using that word to replace another word, but she's teaching a language, Spanish class.
Oh, like what are we're gonna skip the word for black?
Let's get
In
white.
Spanish?
Who does this? What has happened? Kimberly.
What are they going to do in literature class when they read books from a time period when the actual N word was used?
Right.
Are we just going to censor that? You can't just not look at this in context. I mean, that's
the story.
ridiculous.
It's in the context is the whole key to this.
I mean,
Exactly.
Is she still unemployed, or did somebody review? Did anybody take the time to find out what really happened before they obviously panicked and terminated her employment?
Well,
What
she's
age
got
were
a
the kids she was
seventh
teaching?
graders.
Oh, they should know better. Really?
I mean, yeah. She
I was
has a
thinking if
lawsuit.
it was maybe a kindergartner and
Yeah,
they
that's what
heard
I
a
was
word
thinking,
and they
elementary
thought
school.
it sounded like one word and it was really
Yeah.
another, you know.
Really? Seventh graders? Okay.
Sad. Ruthie, I mean, you came from a whole different generation. Nowadays, the N word is taboo, which, I appreciate that. I don't think we should call each other a
Sure.
term that some feel
It's
derogatory.
derogatory.
But, even the word Negro, I remember filling out forms, you were either white, or you're this non-Caucasian, or you were, they called it Negroid back then. I mean, it's a long time ago. And, this person's a Negro. It means black, I think now African American, it's just a dicey thing to get into. You don't want to offend by no means. But one thing I know for sure, the ACLU has not stepped up, as far as I know, to help this poor woman. But they seem to be at the beck and call of every other type of situation. And she should have had the right to, she's a Spanish teacher, to teach the color black. What do you teach? Yellow, green, white. What's the word for black? Nope, we can't tell you the word for black. Tan,
That's
orange.
ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
What a country.
So sad.
What a country. And then there's the woman who was fired because she posted on Facebook a picture of her children with duct tape on their mouth. And she said, oh, finally a way to get them to be quiet. And if you've ever been any kind of a teacher at all, you struggle with that. But how it came about in context is everything. She gave a girl some duct tape to fix a binder or something, but the girl cut it and put it over her mouth and giggled, and then they passed it around. They all had it on their mouth and they were giggling. Teacher took a picture of them, and then I guess she made the dreadful mistake of posting it on Facebook. Somebody saw it, and she's fired. It's not that she said, okay, I'm going to make y'all be quiet and put the duct tape on them. That didn't happen. It was just harmless fun.
Yeah.
And
Well, she probably should have had a little more sense than to put it on Facebook.
Yeah,
Because
I think
people, I don't think she was thinking clearly. I understand that it didn't mean anything, and obviously the context should have been looked at, but she probably should not have posted that on Facebook.
yeah.
yeah, probably that was a bad clue. I don't know. Ruthie's not very familiar with Facebook. Are you?
No, I don't have Facebook. I don't have internet, but that doesn't have anything to do with this. For the simple reason is, people look at something and they immediately form an opinion,
Jump to
and then
conclusions.
before they try to find out the facts, they immediately say, "This is what happened. This is the way it is," and most of the time they're wrong.
That's true.
You can't be so judgmental, because when you put your values on somebody else and you judge them as being wrong because they don't think that you should drink water out of the tap instead of bottled water, then somebody's going to judge you for something just as frivolous,
Yeah.
and you're not going to like it. And I just think we need to be more tolerant
Yes.
of things. And when we see something or we hear something, before we make a mountain out of a molehill, we should check, make sure that mole's still there.
Right.
And that it is a mole, and that it,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can admit that if I saw a picture like that on Facebook, I'd be like, what in the world? I mean, even those of us who are parents and thought at one time, God, it would be great just to, we wouldn't do it. And to
Right.
see that picture, our mind might immediately go to, oh my God, this teacher put duct tape on these children's mouth. No way, fire her. That might be your thought. But something needs to react within us to be like, I don't know the whole story,
Right.
because that's so often the case, that there is more involved. And in this case, the kids did it. Thought it was
Right.
funny. The teacher thought it was cute. Oh, yeah, hey, we can get them to be quiet now. Hindsight's 20/20. This teacher's probably thinking, yeah, they probably think I'm abusing these kids, but that's after she's fired and doesn't have a job,
Right.
And it's sad.
We as mothers love to take cute pictures of our children. And if you had a dog cage out in the yard and your child crawled up in it and was playing,
True.
and you took a picture of it, I'm going to have the child people come out and look at you because you put your
Ruthie.
kid in a cage in a yard.
Right.
And that's not what happened at all.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. You see something and you automatically say that's wrong. You need to look into it and have people that know about these things and stuff look into it. Don't just immediately say you need to take that child away from her because she mistreats it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Ruthie used an appropriate term, and it was tolerance. And I think that's going to be where you're going with next on our next subject about the Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
You and Kimberly have some discussion on that.
Yeah, well, we've seen over the past few months this kind of play out. The Boy Scouts have a band, or have had a band, on homosexual members, period. They've now decided or voted, their council has decided to lift the ban on openly gay youth, but that doesn't apply to adult members. Right. So any adult members that are gay, or any adult leaders that are gay, would be out, and they won't recognize them. So the dilemma falls that, in that eventually, if these boys stay with the organization long enough and they become adult members, just like with Girl Scouts, they have the availability to become adult members and leaders, but they don't in Boy Scouts, because you're only allowed to be openly gay and be a member as long as you're a youth. That ends at 18. So you're cutting off a whole group of people there. But the big turmoil now is that you have possibly mass exodus of scouts, and a whole bunch of people that are going to stop supporting the Boy Scouts because of the Boy Scouts lifting this ban just for the youth members.
Well, what type of people would be not supporting them anymore? Give us an example.
Well,
bust it out, girl. Bust it out.
I will read you a quote. Frankly, I cannot imagine a Southern Baptist pastor who could continue to allow his church to sponsor a Boy Scout troop under these new rules. This was said by Richard Land, a senior Southern Baptist Conference official. He told this to the SBC, Southern Baptist Conference news agency at the Baptist Press.
Shame on you, Richard Land.
And he has advised the Southern Baptist churches to withdraw their support of Scout troops and then consider affiliating them with another organization. Right now, the Southern Baptist churches sponsor Scout units serving more than 100,000 Boy Scouts of America. Or more than 100,000 of the Boy Scouts associations, 2.6 million youth members.
Wow. So 2.6 million Boy Scouts, regardless if they were homosexual or not, would be dropped from support of the Southern Baptist Church.
And see, a lot of the churches and stuff allow the troops to meet in their facilities and sponsor them for outings and different things and stuff. So they're just going to cut that off.
You know what that tells me? If you are a homosexual and you attend a Southern Baptist church and they find out about it, would they jack you out too?
Mm-hmm.
That's what
they're
it
not
sounds
the only
like.
ones. The Assembly of Gods oversee more than 2,000 scouts, and they said they could no longer support such units and suggested that they do the Royal Rangers youth program. There was a quote from a gentleman that I did applaud, what he said. Let me see here if I can find it. This gentleman, his name is Wes Comer. He attends an apostolic Pentecostal church. And he said his church and him consider homosexuality sinful, but he's been wrestling whether to pull his son out. If this was lifted, he said he's torn. He's not sure what their situation will be, or the decision will be. He says, if I place the situation in the context of my religious beliefs, then I'm forced to ask myself, would I turn a homosexual child away from Sunday school?
Sure. Yeah, you would.
From a church function, would I forbid my children to play with and have gay friends? Mm-hmm. And he said, I can't imagine a situation where I would answer yes to any of these questions.
Then he can't answer yes to that.
So how
one.
can I say it to this one?
That's right.
So I applaud that. At least he's being honest.
At least he's
saying,
questioning.
I'm torn and I'm questioning. At least he's not just jumping on the bandwagon of what
Right.
his religion tells him to do. He's actually thinking, would I turn them away if they came to church? Would I turn them away if they wanted to be friends with my child? So he's actually using his heart and his head, and not just jumping on the same bandwagon as everybody else. So, Wes Cromer, I applaud you. Keep thinking. Keep
Yes.
using your heart and your head.
Very good. Kimberly, do you have anything to add?
No, I was really feeling sympathetic toward the organization. They were kind of in a catch-22 situation. If they decided to uphold their ban, they were going to lose support. If they made the ban less restrictive, they were going to lose support. So it's been very difficult, and I believe the Boy Scouts of America have been on the decline for a while now, and this didn't help them. I'm pleased that they made this decision. I hope that in time they'll extend it to leaders and adult volunteers. But it astounds me at how up in arms people are with this situation, which I guess I shouldn't be astounded, but that an entire organization would say, okay, we're going to pull away our support of 2.4 million boys,
2.6 million children.
Yeah.
2.6 million children, and
Yeah.
just because I don't like your sexual orientation, well, I'm going to leave.
Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah,
be dropped from our support.
That is just
What a message. What a message. Ruthie, I don't know if this, what do you think about this? These churches dropping this fantastic organization because they decided, you know what, if a child feels like, they don't know, or they feel like they're this way or questioning, we're going to still keep them and support them and have them. But the church won't.
I think they have their head in the sand.
Whoa!
Whoa, Ruthie, speak it.
No, really, they're not looking at things with reality. And I know I'm probably a little bit different than a lot of people, but I can remember when I first went into the workforce, I was a very naive person. People would say things, and I had no idea what they meant by them, but that's okay. But there was a couple of girls that worked there, and they worked in our stock room, and one of the girls had had some kind of a problem, and they were caught hugging. So people were saying, they're gay, we can't have anything to do with them. I didn't see anything wrong with it, because if I see somebody that's hurting, I'm going to hug them, and you can't, and it didn't make any difference to me. I didn't care how they felt about each other. I didn't care if they were a couple. It didn't, that was their life.
Yeah.
And like I say, at that time, it was something that was really frowned on. This was back like in the early 70s. And, but people just saw this, and immediately that was what they thought. And my mother, bless her soul, she gave me a lot of things to say, and one of the things she said was, you judge somebody else by what you would do if you were in their place. So if you look at somebody and say, they're doing this and it's wrong, that's because you would do the same thing. And so I'm very careful about what I think about somebody else, because I don't want somebody thinking that about me, So, and we do that. We see something and we immediately jump to conclusions.
Yes, we do.
And,
yes, we do.
And these organizations that are saying we can't do this, they need to wake up and smell the roses, for Pete's sake.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly right. And, to me, and this is one of the reasons that church is harmful, and we've had a series on that, because they disenfranchise, they exclude, they kick out, they don't have any problems saying you don't belong, And yeah,
They speak
church is
one
wonderful.
message, but they don't practice it, because if you don't share the exact same beliefs that they do, that's it.
They will
You know,
cut
they
you off.
practice. I mean, they speak a message, most of it. I won't say all of it, because, you know, the killing of
Yeah.
Jesus so that God could forgive all the rest of us isn't love. But, you know, they claim to have a message of love. Let's put it that way. And they're supposed to be teaching us to love one another. You know, these are basic biblical teachings. Love one another, do unto others as you'd have them do yourself. But they don't practice that. If you don't believe how we believe, if you're not in the same, you know, little category we are, if you're different, that's it. Sorry, we can't associate you. You're gay, you know. You know, I mean, just anything, you know.
Right. I mean, you know, we mock what we don't understand.
Right.
And, you know, I'm very guilty of that too. If I see something and it doesn't square away with all of my sets of, you know, what I call values or whatever, then I have a tendency to say, you know, good, bad, but, you know, I don't know everything.
Right.
And so, and a point of reference is this. I shouldn't be telling on myself, but I will.
We like you when you tell them.
I know, yeah. Well, okay, I'll just break it down. The night before we were to set sail to the Bahamas, we had to stay at a hotel in Cocoa Beach. Well, it was a hotel that had all kind of stuff. It had shuffleboard and a pool and ping pong and video games, and it had a lounge area hooked to the arcade, and they were having trivia. And Marshall, my nephew, and I mean, we are awesome. I mean, I can just about beat anybody in any kind of trivial questions. So I'm like, okay, Marsh, let's go down there at 9:30 and we'll win. I mean, we can win the pot, you know, or whatever. We'll win trivia. So we got down there and we waited. Then we said, hey, to the waitress, where do you sign up for trivia? And she said, well, ask the karaoke lady. So we waited till she showed up, and then she showed up. And by that time, my sister-in-law and my sister had come down there. And I sent Marsha over there. I said, ask those people about the trivia. And they said, we're not having it tonight. It's going to be karaoke. And I was like, it's a bummer. So I'm down there already with 3 other people. So I sit at a table, and I'm waiting and watching, and people are getting up singing. And I don't know. I like to make fun of people that are, you know, trying. And next thing you know, I promise you, I'm not sure. I want to be very sensitive, but I believe I'm going to identify he or she as a transvestite without knowing everything at the point. Beautiful aqua dress, shoes that match, a purse, I mean, jewelry. I'm like, I was just so impressed that this person was being true to his, I don't want to say it, I'm going to say her, to herself, but it was really a man. And I just saw that, and everybody snickered and whatever. And then, you know, I have this huge heart, and then I start feeling sorry. And so she goes and gets a drink. She got a beer in a glass, you know. So I said, oh, it's got to be a woman. So just joking. Y'all didn't get that? Okay.
Yeah.
So she goes and sits down and by herself way over there by the arcade. And I said, wow, you know, that's sad. And I said, I really want to go and talk to her and say, you know what? I want to tell you how much God loves you, and that's just my gut instinct. Well, she gets up and sings, and I think I still have like this sore in my lip where I had to bite my lip, because when she sang, I think she tried to make a girl voice. It was a fake girl voice that she sang in, but I don't know. But it was like, I'm going to say it was like, you are the wind beneath my wings. But she tried to do a fake girl voice. And so I just like bit down my lip really hard because I wanted to support her. Then, you know, by that time people started admiring her. And so everybody gave her a standing ovation. She went back and sat down, and I'm like, I'm going to act like I'm going to the bathroom. Then I'm going to sit down and talk to her and tell her our message of inclusion and how there is no hell, no judgment, whatever, you know.
Right.
And I admire you for coming in here, you know, all decked out. And so I did, and I sat down, and she said her name was Johnny, and but then she spoke in like a man voice to me at the table. But then when she wanted to say something, then she would kind of lean over and do the girl voice. And so I was getting very confused at a point. And she said, "Do you know what the Baptist church calls me?" And I knew right away. But she says, they called me a freak of nature. And I just started bawling, And I said, I believe that with everything in me that they called you that. I said, but God doesn't call you that. Don't listen to man. You listen to what I can tell you about Jesus Christ and how he is so inclusive and he's so much in love with you. And I tried to uplift her, and it was whatever. And then at the end, she said, I want to sing this song to someone who has really inspired me today. And she sang, You Raise Me Up. And I'm telling you, that, touched me. And briefly, and because she knew scripture, she quoted everything. I've been to hell. I know hell exists. I couldn't ever get her to say hell didn't exist. God took me and showed me hell. Well, I didn't believe that for a minute, but who knows?
Well, but some people have different definitions of hell. I mean, she may have been talking the literal hell and may have, in her mind. But then again, some people, when they say I've been to hell, they've been through hell, what they consider hell on this earth with, if she's got people calling her freak of nature, telling her she's not worthy, she's trash, she's, that's her own personal hell. So I don't know how exactly she meant that,
Yeah, well, that is true.
Because we encounter people all the time that say there is a hell. It may not be literal burning fire, but I've been to hell,
Well, my sister was inspired too because, I thought if she can show up dressed, with a man sort of body, and she had boobs. I don't know how they came about, but she had, like man arms and legs. But I said, I can go out with an extra 15, 20 pounds. I mean, she went out there and put herself out there, didn't care what people thought. And I admired that. I thought that was awesome. I really did. And so did my sister. She said several times on the cruise, she said, you know what? My life is different now. And she called her She Johnny. She said, if She Johnny can show up and decked out in turquoise, I can show up with, a zit or bad hair day or, fat rolling off of me, or I don't mind, because this person was true to their self. And I admired that. Mm-hmm. I admired that because sometimes I'm not all that true to myself, but she was. Right. Johnny was. And so that was just a, I don't know, confession or whatever. All right. Kimberly, do you have a quote for us?
From the Boy Scouts or from somewhere else?
From wherever you want it. You mentioned a quote.
That was back with the Boy Scouts thing.
Yeah, I like.
Well, it was offensive to me. So.
Yeah, well, I like it for a conversation starter.
Okay, one of this, he was at one time a CEO and higher up member of the Boy Scouts, and he said he avidly supports the Boy Scouts' exclusion of gays, girls, and the godless, the 3 Gs, and it offended me. So
as well it would, because you're knocking out. Well, I don't believe anybody's godless. That's my personal opinion. Gays.
We just got those people who
girls. It offended me because
we assume are godless.
It offended me most because he presumed that gays and godless were sinners, and then he shoved girls in the middle of there. And it's that's so prevalent in so many different religions that women are less, women are below the men, and it just maybe they didn't mean it that way, but that's how it came off to me. That,
right.
That these are the 3 things we have to
Gs,
exclude. Yeah, that's what in Boy Scouts.
I mean,
it's
I
called
understand
the 3 Gs.
it's Boy Scouts, and so it's for boys. And
yeah,
not for
I
girls.
agree with that. I don't believe girls should be in Boy Scouts. I don't do it. I don't believe it. It's a Boy Scouts, boys. Girl Scouts, girls. If you don't know yet, go pick whichever one you want. I'm all for that.
Right.
If you're questioning, But if you're a boy and you know you're a boy, you need to be up in the Boy Scouts.
Right.
right? That's my
I don't know.
opinion.
I don't know these days. We'll see.
Well, no, that's true. Not the
I
way
mean,
they're acting.
If they're going to exclude and,
That's true.
Anyway, sorry.
That
that's
is
just
true.
me.
Now, speaking of that quote brings
I
us.
applaud that their first step.
Yes,
Let's see them take some more.
that's true. Yeah, the CEO.
Yeah.
But let's take your quote and go with Iran. Tell us about this.
This is going to be hard to.
Talk about.
Let me find it here.
Yeah, I mean, I go on this cruise and I come back and everything's happening in the world, and
I know. I kept telling my husband. I kept pulling up stuff on Yahoo or different things, and I'd be like, "Oh, we're talking about that one. We're talking about that one. We're talking about that one this week." And I actually saw this one this past week, and I saved it. It's actually an article from July 25th of 2012, though. It says Iran moves to legalize marriage for girls under 10 years old. Yeah, that's exactly what I did, Kimberly. My mouth about hit the floor.
I hope you got that. Ruthie.
So 3 months before this article, so that July, May, they decided that they would allow 10 years old would not be the age that you had to be to marry. They would drop it further. Basically, they're saying that we must regard 9 as being the appropriate age for a girl to have reached puberty and be qualified to get married. To do otherwise would contradict and challenge Islamic
Sharia
law. I always say the word wrong. Sharia law. And he urges, he argues that before the revolution, girls under 16 were not allowed to be married. Parents determined to get around the law would often tamper with their daughter's birth certificate. And under the previous constitution, people were legally regarded as adults when they were 18. After the revolution, the age at which children were regarded as going through puberty was lowered to 9 for girls and 15 for boys. I have an 8-year-old who'll be 9 this year, and I cannot imagine in any way that child being ready to be a wife. And of course, as soon as they're married, they're baby makers.
But I guarantee you she could clean a kitchen and sweep a floor as a wife. But the baby maker part, no. She's ready for that part.
It goes on. There's more to the article. It talks about how they said that the previous law that was 16 was un-Islamic and illegal. And the British Parliament is looking into the issue of child brides. They said that they've decided to look into it. They were doing a 3-year investigation because of maternal mortality. And
Yeah.
the lady, Jenny Tong, Baroness Jenny Tong from the British Parliament, recalled a story of an 8-year-old girl who married a 45-year-old girl. And
Two
3
girls.
3 days after the child's first intercourse, died from bleeding from intercourse.
Mo,
An
you need to
8-year-old.
say that again. Because you said an 8-year-old girl married a 45-year-old girl.
45-year-old man, sorry. An 8-year-old girl married a 45-year-old man. And 3 days after her first round of intercourse, with the gentleman, died from bleeding from this. So
I mean, what kind of perv would do that with, 8-year-old girls?
everybody in this country, it looks like.
I guess so.
Oh, sorry.
I guess so.
But, I mean, the lady said it makes you feel sick, and it does. It just makes you feel sick that, women are regarded as so little in countries, like you said, that they're just wife material or baby-making material for men. I mean, a child of 8 years old, 9 years old, I don't even think at 16 most women are ready, or girls are ready to be married, to be wives. Some may think they are, but I don't think they are at that age. And it's nothing but, and a man wants to be, with a child, have a child bride, that's not going to age quick and sick.
Well, I don't understand. Why can't they find somebody their own age? I mean, what's the deal? If they would let it...
More years of baby making, more years of whatever, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, you can say the Islam law tells you that girls hit puberty at 9, but that doesn't mean she has. I mean, do they honestly, how are they justifying this at all in their minds? That's just, doesn't make any sense at all.
Now, if they say a 9-year-old girl is more mature than a 15-year-old boy, yes, they are.
Well, of course, but
Some 9-year-old girls, not all of
that
them.
wasn't my point.
But that's not puberty.
That's neither here
No,
nor there.
it's not.
Yeah.
Ruthie,
8 is way too young to think about a girl being a bride. Sometimes 19 is way too young for a girl to be a bride, just because the body is ready. That doesn't mean the mind is.
Right.
But an 8-year-old, her body's not ready, and neither is her
Right.
mind.
No,
She
not if
has
they're
no
dying
idea what
after-
that's all about. So,
I mean,
think-
these women's bodies are not prepared for this. That's what.
No,
I mean, that's what the British Parliament's looking into, because they're They're-
why is it 3 years? Why does it take 3 years?
or
to
maybe it
figure
has
this
been
out?
they're doing an investigation and a study, but I mean, what are they going to be able to do about it? This is another country, you know. I mean,
You know what? This is the name of religion. Religion gets by.
yeah, it was
with a
all about
lot
the
of things.
Islamic Sharia law.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's so aggravating. I mean, we've got to do
Yes.
something. We got to stand up for, our sisters, which they might be 8 years old, but we're.
I mean, they're not able to say no.
Right.
You know, I mean, they can
No,
say
not
no all
even
they
at
want, but if
19.
their family's saying, hey, you know, this is according to our religious beliefs and we're going to let our daughter be married, there is nothing under God's green earth that would, make me allow my 9-year-old or my 8-year-old child,
Right.
to marry somebody at the age she is. I mean, there's not enough money, there's not enough things. I'd have to be dead first. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
You know,
that's like
there's
over
just no
your
way.
dead body.
Yeah, exactly, over my dead body. I mean, that's how it would have to be. That's just sick. You know?
But you say, what do you do? It is another country. We have human rights
Yeah, I mean,
activists.
we have to do something. I'm just saying this study only goes so far. There
Right.
has to be action taken, and it is another country, and something has to be done. But I don't know. I mean, that it's a question. What do you do? What can they do? Let's
Right.
Exactly.
something does have to be done.
Well, I hate to end on such a horrible note, but our producer's telling us we're all out of time, so we're getting ready to close out. And I just want to say it's good to be back with my sisters, and good to be back. Always good to come home, and think about what in the world you can do for these girls and young women concerning this, what they're subjected to. And let's do something about these Boy Scouts acting up and these Southern Baptist Church and the Assembly of God Church. I just want to say, I want to put some shame on you. Just sometimes when somebody shames you, then you're like, I am ashamed of that. I'll stop doing it. But it's horrible. It's horrible. We just want to let you know the New Covenant group is open to all, and we exclude no one. We want everyone. And tonight at 8:00, we will have somebody sitting here, a couple of people, that actually believe in a literal burning hell. They believe in infanticide. They believe all the stories in the Bible concerning God. And we want to hear their point of view and find out what has made you put everything about you on the line to be a person that gives out that message. And we're going to find out tonight from 8 to 10 here at the place. All right, we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Thank
Right.
you.